Hello, folks. It is Thursday, the 18th of September. Cheers. Tonight is the premiere of Doug Wesselman's documentary about Ogden Etzel. Another night out for me. Looking forward to it, actually. There'll be some people there that I haven't seen in years. So that'll be fun. Cheers. Well, folks, it's not right what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. This is every day more destruction, more deterioration of democracy before our very eyes. And what's sad is that Trump and his gang are not done. And it's all for wrong reasons. It's just very, very frustrating to be living through this, because I'll just say it, if it were a black man or if it were Barack Obama, he'd have been hung out like the person they found lynched recently. Black people hanging themselves. That lynching is directly tied to the GOP and what's going on in this country. It's pathetically bad. Nice cheery way to start the video, huh? Well, I have good perspective, folks, because I'm looking at this madness and I can still be thankful for the simple things, for simply being alive, for breathing, for waking up to another good ear day. Yesterday ended up, whereas the day went on, it got quieter. And I've been waiting for this for almost over a week. I've had, the tinnitus had been raging for at least 6-7 days. So yesterday was a blessing, and I can't tell when I first wake up in the morning, because as you go to sleep and you wake up, everything is reoriented. So I wake up and I'm super sensitive, so I hear the ringing. But when I get up, oh wow! So today's another nice day. Yesterday was a beautiful day to listen to some stuff that had been sent for review to review again. So Ari Mundal, if you see this, thank you very much for sending me your latest album, Songs for the Anechoic Chamber. Limited edition of 100. This is available through his Bandcamp website, Ari Mundal. This is really enjoyable as an audio journey. No words. It's not dark, but there are parts that seem cavernous at first due to the use of reverb and what sound like field recordings. It's not that we're underground or anything. It's just that the use of the sound challenges the listener to see what is the scenario of the sound. And I enjoyed side 2 in particular of this album. There's a part where there's this groaning that almost sounds like it's human, but it probably isn't, surrounded by these other sounds and tones. That's the best way to describe it. I have other records by Ari Mundal, which are, from my memory, even more starkly industrial. This is some sort of sound journey. That's the way I'll describe this. A journey. Even the picture, now that I look at it, it's like That's fitting. And even the reference to the Pope or religion, that there's something kind of somber about parts of this, like there's some sort of trek, some sort of journey going on. That was very enjoyable, and yesterday was the perfect day for it because I could listen to that fine-tuned sound on my wonderful turntable without it battling with the background, however you describe it. So I finally listened to this all the way through in one sitting. A Magic Whistle, the Solar Cell. Made with homemade instruments, made in this building, that comes through the entire recording, because some things sound like songs, other things sound like audio doodles, like you're messing around with your equipment or your instrument, and you start to do something and say, "Oh, that's kind of cool," and so you kind of follow through with it. That's what these strike me as, and as a music maker myself, I can relate to how you have these moments where you're doing things with your equipment and trying ideas, and it gets to a certain point, it's like, well, that was cool, we're done with that. So that was a fun listen. Nothing real heavy or consequential about it. Enjoyable though. And I went ahead and I went ahead and used the download cards on these cassettes from Brian Day sent me more music yesterday, 2 more cassettes. So I went ahead, rather than bothering with actually playing the cassettes, I just downloaded them. The thing I can say about these, if you see this, Brian, I'm just going to do it like this. Public eyesore / as a music outlet label is not for the faint-hearted. Brian gives you exactly what the artist does, and a lot of it is very, very challenging to the listener. Like this one, Hallway 5, Black Pits. This is 2 sidelong performances recorded in Maine, in a warehouse in Portland, Maine in 2017. And it's challenging. It starts off sounding like cymbals being scraped and just a big racket being created, and it goes on for a long time before it starts to morph into the other parts of the music making that's going on. The other sounds start to emerge. It's a sonic territory that they create. And this one, probably of the 4 here, I enjoyed the most. Lunt, Noise to Body, Repairs in D. This one just came yesterday. Lunt. And this one has graphics on the inside. Looks like cutaway of the body, the brain, possibly the head. And the one sheets of these come, now this one sheet is still available. Let me go ahead and sheet and use that to help. Some of you might be interested in this work. It's heavily abstract, okay? There is no song form at all with any of these cassettes that I'm talking about. So I don't have the one sheet available. I keep the. I might. I try to keep stuff to a degree, and then I throw it away because there's so much. I've been here for so long that the accumulation. So, for example, if you see this, Trish, you were asking people on Facebook, about your mixes. You've been making mixes a long time. I have a lot of your mixes, but frankly, I don't need you to send me anymore. Okay, I'm out of room, but I appreciate what you do. So let's go to another cassette here, one that I received. Actually, this one I received earlier this summer. This one I received yesterday. Saudara Tua. Saudara Tua is the name of this release. I dare say I think that Brian has fun with doing cassette releases, which is partially why he does it. Just the fun of putting the packaging together and then seeing it. So Saudara Tua is a cross-cultural music duo bringing together the rhythmic traditions of India and the rich sonic landscapes of Indonesia. And it is percussive with tabla and other instruments, and the way that tabla players vocalize their rhythms, that's what's happening here. That's what's happening. It's real. It's recordings of them improvising together. The feeling that they put together is beautiful. It's not beautiful sounding. It's a beautiful feeling. Can you relate to that? And then this is the one I like the most, not the Lunt. I like this one the most. Lemtat Unit. Super Tok. A long-lost snapshot from one of Tokyo's many undergrounds, Lemtat Unit was recorded at Okai Soup in 2014, shortly after a trio performance at Super Deluxe. And so we have a guitarist, sound artist, and two guitarists, and a person who uses magnetic pickups to amplify the inner voices of metal objects. So that one had the most variety in what it presents, But for the adventurous listener, or just a person who is oriented to this type of listening, Soundworks. If you're the sort of person who likes to go to live performances of avant-garde, and you actually listen and allow yourself to go into what the artists are doing, that's what these cassettes and what public eyesore releases are in general. It's real artistic expression, unadulterated, just straight to you. And these sort of things can be revelatory for the listener as well as for the artist performing these things. With that in mind, I opened my studio up last night to start working on one of the new pieces for Chad again. And the idea was I was looking to add a sample sound bed for a particular part. But what I ended up doing was creating a whole nother different piece because of and I was using, I used samples of Faust from Faust 4. And where it took me just playing with two samples from that album created a whole new piece, which as I listened to it develop, it's like, this is, like I just said, it's creating a new thing. to explore on its own. So, in that sense, I totally relate to what Brian Day is doing with his label and his work. One of those tapes, I forget, it might be this one where it actually lunt. This one actually in part reminded me of the sort of sounds that Brian Day makes with his instruments, rubbing and pushing, and you can hear things that are wooden. You can hear other things. You can actually hear the physical properties of what is being used to make the sound. I applaud the label. Cheers, people. I'm going to go. I got some records, so I'm just going to go through them and talk about them. This is something that was sent to me that I've never been able to find more information on. One side of this is grindy, instrumental, repetitive, nothing great, but it's good enough that it just, when I hear it, I got to hear it again. National Park System. Does anyone know anything about National Park System or the label? It was sent to me a few years ago. No insert. When I look online, I basically found nothing. And the side with the print on it is the side that I like. It's a 12-inch. It's a 12-inch EP. One side just goes on and it's just okay. I don't even know who to compare this to. It's got a beat. They use some good timbres on their synthesizers on this. It's kind of not crunchy, but it's got this texture that I love it. National Park System. Anybody know anything about this? I like it. Last night as I was winding down for bedtime, I put this on. Vangelis, Heaven and Hell. I like Vangelis, but also Vangelis, he'll do things where it's like, it's grandiose. Like there's parts of this that are effectively big in their vision, like the title and the cover. I love this cover, these graphics. Then there's other things where it's like this populist music where it seems to be drawing on his ethnicity, being Greek, pounding drums, kettle drums. But what I noticed on here is, he had that big custom-made music machine. Ooh, the way that happens in the morning is tough, but it's part of what happens, so there it is. But I've watched a documentary or two about him where he had this big keyboard set up and he pushes these buttons and entire sections of sounds will come up. And the drums on here sound pretty fake. Kind of took away from the bigger picture. It's like, well, that probably could have used real timpanis there, Vangelis. These sound pretty tinny. But other than, I just noticed these things as a deep listener, and a music maker. But overall, enjoyable, real enjoyable. So, here comes this. So, yesterday, Homer's got me to go down again. They're used drop for yesterday, and they only had one. Oftentimes, they'll have 2, sometimes 3 used drops per day. Always try to catch them, I didn't call. I saw 2 things. I said, let me go down there. If even one is still there, it was worth the trip. And the other reason why I went ahead and made the trip was in light of the fact that the day before, had I just popped down there, I could have met Steven Wilson. So I of course, no one's there when I go there today, but that was in the back of my head. It's like, you never know who's in the store. I've actually had it happen to me where I'm the person in the store that is recognized by other customers. And they want to come over and talk, and I've even given autographs and stuff, which is quite fun. They had 2 records in the used section. I said, if either one of those is there, it's on. And they were both there, so I was very happy. This is a reissue of this old pop album / psychedelia. It's not really that psychedelic at all. It's pop from that time period. 1968 was when this was recorded, and it was released, I believe, in early 69. Yeah. Southwest FOB Smell of Incense. Now, I didn't grab it, but I forever have owned a promo copy of the single Smell of Incense, which I think got some airplay. It's a good song, and it is reminiscent of the hippie thing going on. But overall, this is a polished pop album with very good vocal harmonies, with some psychedelic flourishes, and they try to jam out on the second side a thing called And Another Thing. This was back in the day of Inagata Davida and the big drum workouts that people would do. And so they do one on here, but it falls flat on its face. It is the downfall of the album. The drums are sloppy, it goes on too long, and the drummer's not tight. But when I bought this, there was no indication, but it's green vinyl, kind of green marbly or whatever. And a really good pressing, a real good cut, real clear. And several songs on this album, besides Smell of Incense, are really good pop songs. Not psychedelic, pop. But it's been on my list forever as an album that, back in the day of cutouts when I was a teenager, there were the price tiers of the cutouts. And due to being so poor, I almost always, trying to get the most out of my money, would get the cheapest of the cutouts. And that Southwest FOB would always be on the higher end, so I never got a copy. So interestingly, I was talking about the band Tofat, and when I saw this in the update from Homer, I said, well, it's not one of their studio albums, but there it is. I'm going to go grab it. BBC Sessions, Midnight Sun. I knew there was something besides the Uriah Heep connection that stood out to my mind. The lead singer of this band was Cliff Bennett, who had English hits in the 60s. I'd heard of him. Cliff Bennett and the House Rockers or something. He has a real strong voice for the time, kind of bluesy, but pretty authentic. So this is tracks from both of their albums done at a BBC session, plus a couple of covers, like they do Born to Be Wild, and they do Bad Side of the Moon by Elton John on here. And it's a good band. You can hear they jam out. Pastiche of the Parlophone, one of the Parlophone labels. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And still, if I run across their studio albums, even though people are saying the second album isn't as good, I still want them. I enjoyed this, played all of it. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, the band jams out. Ken Hensley. I've seen the Uriah Heep twice. Um, Early on, amongst the first rock concerts I ever saw. Killer both times. Lee Kerslake on drums, then Brian Glasscock and John Glasscock on side two. Really enjoyed this. Glad to add it to the collection. And this was still down there in the used, where it was from an earlier drop. Now I already have one of her earlier records, so I knew what to expect. So I picked this up, FKA Twigs. This is number 2 of her EPs. I like her tracks. They're interesting, seemingly disjointed, but not. Electronic based, seem to be percussively sample based. So her musical setting is very interesting to me. She sings and presents her music like she's in heat to me. She sounds like she's full. So most of the time, most of what I hear, and then on here, every track, she sounds like she's all aroused, ready to have sex, which is not what I'm listening for. And so this won't be something I listen to much, but it's like, this is pretty cool sounding. So I kept the other one, but it's also why I don't listen to that sort of thing. Did it remind me a little bit of Kalela? Actually, yeah, because they both work with electronics in their musical settings, and they're both very sensual. So I don't listen to stuff like this very much, but this is good, and I'm glad I picked it up. Sitting out, I was going to do some deep diving, and then I got busy in the studio. But before I did that, I did sort of a blind pull from a section out there in the hallway, and this is what came up. This compilation from the 60s, the supergroups. Remember these? Still has the Atco inner sleeve. The person that designed this never, that's what's interesting to me about Michael Dawson, is that information about like the artists and stuff who make the covers, it's like, in passing I might have noticed, but he's a fan of this person. And they were in charge, I think, of the art department for years. And so the person who designed this has designed several memorable Atco Atlantic record covers. But this was a fun listen, because it's like both sides have a track by the bands featured. It was a great listen, just go from the Rascals to the Bee Gees to Cream to Buffalo Springfield to Vanilla Fudge on both sides. The record's in great shape. I can't remember when I picked this up, but it was a nostalgia trip to listen to it and to look at the album cover. Supergroups, the supergroups. So that's what I got for you today, folks. Like I said, I have a movie premiere tonight. I have good ears today, so I'm pleased about that. I don't know what I'll do. Probably open up the studio again. It's almost pointless to hope for good news these days, isn't it? But I'm still going to do that. Let's hope for some good news. And I'm going to share my thought that I shared on Facebook yesterday. Let us be warriors of light, sending out love, because our leaders are so evil and corrupt and selfish, and they don't care about us. They don't care about anything but their bottom line. It's very sinister what we're dealing with. In a way to spin it into something good, it's bad. So let us be the good in this world. Thinking of you always, family. So I like to say that. Hey, Stephanie, I know you watch me pretty regular. How you doing, folks? Even if I don't mention you by name, I see you here, and I appreciate our bond. Be it just the fact that we all like music, or that we recognize it deeper, that we are members of the family of mankind, and that we recognize each other's grace and divinity. And so we try to treat each other accordingly, with, at the minimum, respect, and at the most, with love. Take care, folks. Have a great till I next talk to you.